with Ella Core, every action that you can perform via the UI can also be performed via the API. This makes it easy to automate tasks in your private 5G network. Hi, my name is Guillaume and I run Ella Networks. In this video, we will first acquaint ourselves with Ella Core's API, then we will use it to make backups and to create subscribers. Okay, so first, let's get comfortable with Ella Core's API. All right. All of our API is documented here at docs.ellanetworks.com. All you need to do is click on API. Under API, you'll see pages for each of Ella Core's endpoint. Here in the index, you can see more information about the authentication. The thing to note is that to use Ella Core's API, you will need an API token. Here, you can also view the fact that we provide a Golang client for interacting with the API. If you don't use Go for your automation, if you use Python or something else, that's okay. The whole API is documented here, which allows you to build automation in the language of your choice. Today, we will be using the Golang client. So to view the documentation of the Golang client itself, you can Control-click here, and you will be forwarded to package.go.dev, and you can see a function for each of the feature that is exposed via the API. For example, here you can click on create subscriber and view that in order to create a subscriber, you need to provide those specific options. Okay, so now let's use the Golang client to build automations in Ella Core. So we will move to VS Code and start writing our own automation. Okay, so here we're starting from an empty directory. So since we're using Go, let's create a go.mud file. And we will be naming this module Ella demo. Okay, now let's create a main.go file. And let's create a package named main, function named main. Okay, so this is the basic for any Go project. Now we will need to import the Ella Core client library. So let me just show you how that's done. So you'll need to import it via github.com/ellanetworks/core/client. So now let's use it, and then we'll run go-mud tidy so that we properly import it. Okay. So to use it, let's create a new instance of the client. So client.new, and we need to provide a config with the base URL. In our case, Ella Networks is running at HTTP 127.0.0.1 at port 5002. And we'll need to provide the API token, and we'll look at that in a second. In our case, for now, let's just set the API token to an empty string. We'll come back to that. If there's an error creating the client, let's log an error. Actually, let's crash completely if that happens. Net create client. And for now, as a basic use case, let's just print the version of Ella Core that is running. Okay, so let's to do so, we'll need to get the status. So let's do that. Okay, and let's print the Ella Core version. Okay, so now we have this minimal piece of code that will create a new client, retrieve the status, and print the version. Okay, let's run go-mud tidy so that we properly import the client. Okay, so you'll see the new content in go.mud here, and you'll see the go.sum. So that's pretty normal if you're used to Go. Okay, the next thing we'll need to do is to generate an API token. So let me go back to the browser. And in Ella Core, I'll click on Profile here. I'll click on Create Token. It's called the token demo, and I'll set it with no expiry. Create. And here I can copy the token. Now let's also click on subscribers and view that we have no subscribers here, because very soon we will also be using this script to generate new subscribers. We can see that we already have a policy here and a data network, and no radio is connected. Okay, so now let's go back to VS Code, and I'll paste the client that I just copied, the token, sorry. And there we go. Now I can run the script and see whether we're able to retrieve the Ella Core status and version. So go run main.go. There we go. So we can see that we're able to communicate with Ella Core and we're able to retrieve its status and version. Okay. Now let's take it a step further and use the client to create a backup of Ella Core. Okay. So to create a backup, we will be using a different function here. We will be using create backup. So let me comment this out and let's create the backup. Okay, so to create a backup, we'll need to provide two things. First, the context, and then the create backup parameters, which include the path, which makes sense. Okay. So whenever we call create backup here, we'll create a backup in a file that we'll name ellacore.backup. Okay, let's see if that works. Let's run our script. Okay, great. So now on the left here, you can see that there is a backup that was created. So at any moment, we can leverage this backup file to restore from Ella Core. So you can very much imagine having this code, this piece of code run once a day to create a backup from Ella Core. You could also here change the path name to include the time of day, for example, so that you can end up having multiple files for every day that you take a backup. So that's for creating backups in Ella Core. Now let's create subscribers. So you can very much imagine having multiple subscribers to create at once and it being pretty much of a burden to do so via the UI. So in that case, for example, you can have a CSV file, for example, with all of your subscriber information. So let me paste a CSV file that I have here with subscriber information. Okay, so the first column here represents the IMSI, the second, the key, and the third sequence number. So you could obtain that file from whoever builds your SIM cards, for example. Now we'll use that CSV file to create subscribers in Ella Core. Let me delete the backup file. Okay. So to read CSVs, we will be leveraging a package in Go named encoding/CSV. Okay. Let me comment this out for a second. So now the first thing we need to do is to open our subscribers file. We'll be doing so with the OS open. Okay, and once the code stops running, we'll need to close that file. Okay, now let's use the CSV reader. And the way that this reader works is that we'll need to create a for loop. And every iteration of the for loop will read a different line. Okay, so if we can't read a line, we'll log an error, except if it's the last line. So if the error is a end of file error, we will simply break. Oops. Okay. Now, like I said, the IMSI is the first column here. The key is the second, and the sequence number is the third. Okay, so now we'll be using a different function in the Go client, which is named create subscriber. So okay, so in the create subscriber can take IMSI, key, sequence number, policy name, and OPC. In our case, we'll let ELACore generate the OPC. And we will also need to provide the policy name. In our case, the policy name in our instance is named default. Okay, so we've got everything we need now to create all of the subscribers in this CSV file. And whenever we create a subscriber, let's just log it so that it's obvious that we created it. Okay, so that should be good. I'll remove this commented out code and let's try it. There we go. So we created all of the subscribers in ELACore. Now let me go back to the browser. And here you see that we created our 10 subscribers with this script. Okay. So that's it for today. With the ELACore API, like I said, you can perform everything that you can do with the UI. So today we created backups and provision subscribers. There's much more you can do. All you need to do is go to docs.elanetworks.com. Thank you very much for watching.